There's a flower called Titan arum, which instead of attracting the usual pollinators, attracts flies by growing red leaves that look like rotting meat, and by releasing a bunch of molecules that together form the smell of rotting biotic matter, like cheese and meat. And the flies come thinking they're gonna find a nice carcass, but instead they just get covered in pollen. I've linked in the cards and in the description a cool video by DeepLook that goes into more details about this plant, so please do check it out, it's awesome. But in any case, this inspired me to make it that in my world, flowers only evolved to attract these types of pollinators, so all flowers look and smell like rotting organisms or like organismal excrements. Now at first, these pollinators actually only lose out on this interaction because they get tricked into spreading the pollen and gain nothing from the interaction. So over evolutionary time, the flies that would get better at distinguishing the plants from real dead animals would end up propagating more because they wouldn't end up wasting resources on non-real food. So it becomes evolutionarily favored for the plants to actually offer the flies something for their work so that they stop wanting to avoid doing the pollination. So over time, you'd see the plants evolve something like nectar so that the flies should keep coming back, and hence you'd see the evolution of a true mutualistic symbiosis. This nectar can simply be a mix of sugars and proteins that the flies are used to getting out of their meals so that they have something to snack on while collecting the pollen, but then on their own time, so to say, they would still go out and find real carcasses to lay their eggs into. But one family of species of these flowering plants, maybe besides for the nectar, or maybe instead of the nectar, produce a ball filled with nutrients that the flies can lay their eggs into, since the flies are really only interested in corpses, which the plants are emulating, to lay their eggs into them. And maybe humans harvest these nutrient-filled balls and eat them just like fruits in real life. But unlike real-life fruits, maybe humans specifically harvest these balls only after the maggots are starting to grow inside for the extra protein. And in real life, maggots are diseased, but in this world, since the flies don't actually live around real carcasses and excrements, they may be clean of diseases, so it would be safe to eat the maggots. Having flowers all be putrid smelling instead of sweet smelling means that many people would really hate the spring season because once all the flowers bloom, the outdoors would reek. Flowers in this world would be the ultimate weed you don't want in a garden. They would be ripped out as soon as they're caught growing, lest they bloom and stink up the place. The only place they'd let one grow is if it's in a specific garden where you specifically want to show off certain plants, or if it's the specific species that grows that maggot fruit that they eat. Regarding botanical gardens and bouquets, rather than being filled with pretty flowers since there aren't any, they can be arranged and organized based on bark type, leaf type, height, thickness, branching patterns, and general things like that. Now, these flowers may become a symbolic representation of the concept of one man's trash is another man's treasure, since while they smell really putrid to us, the flies all love it and can't get enough of it. So these flowers take on a symbolism that is used to teach children the concept of not dismissing other people so quickly just because they do something we may consider to be stupid or wrong. Perhaps the god of impartiality is represented by such a flower. On a similar note, the maggot-fruit flower can symbolize that something that seems unpleasant can actually hold a beautiful treasure. So that made me think that maybe at the temple sacrifices that ask for forgiveness or for general favor from the gods, they can burn up such a flower, maybe together with a token animal sacrifice, to say, right now, I smell really bad, i.e. I'm lowly, just like this flower. But I hope that, just like the smelliness of this flower was let slide by the flies, and it has gained favor and love with them, that I too, notwithstanding my foul stench, may gain favor with you. Now, originally, I had planned to now start talking about another family of plants and how they compete with these filthy, fecal, foul-fuming flowers, and trace their evolutionary history by building closely related species. But as I was getting ready to make this video, I realized that just this part alone, what was talked about in this video, can stand alone as its own concept, so I decided to split this topic into two videos. This is part 1, and part 2, sweet-smelling, scent-sucking citrus, will come out shortly to complete this topic. That is, unless and until I come up with another family of plants that fits in with these two. So this way, I also get to upload this part 1 earlier than I would have if I would have made this together with part 2 as one video. So until said part 2, go out there and slurp that good juice.